Namaskar friends, I am Acharya Tanmay Saikya and welcome to my YouTube channel Krishna Jyotish. Friends, today we are going to discuss on a topic which is related to medical astrology, and medical astrology being one of my area of specialization. I love to make videos on the medical astrological topics, and the topic today we have chosen is a gynecological disorder which is known as endometriosis. Endometriosis is a gynecological disorder, and this disorder develops in because if you see medically, what happens is that there are inside the uterus there are linings, and when endometriosis develops, these linings, the tissues which are generally present inside the inside wall of the uterus, they start developing in the outside of the uterus, means in the ovaries and in the fallopian tubes and the parts which are external to the uterus. And sometimes what happens is that during the periods when the blood usually comes out, and when the menstrual cycle ends, normally what happens is that all the blood that comes out, but sometimes what happens is that some blood they keep stuck in the uh, in the in the backside of the ovaries, and they start accumulating in the backside of the ovaries, and over a period of time, I mean say one cycle, two cycle, three cycles, so this blood they keep on depositing behind the ovaries, in the fallopian tubes and in the other parts which are part of the you can say it is a part of the reproductive system. So it can deposit in the outside part of the uterus, it can deposit in the backside of the ovaries, it can deposit in the fallopian tubes, and over a period of time this blood they get clotted and they get deposited in the external walls of the ovaries, fallopian tubes, etc. And then what happens that it start multiplying itself. It is not cancerous, but it behaves like cancer tissues, that it starts multiplying, and over a period of time many conditions may happen. Sometimes the most common condition is what is called as chocolate cyst, whereas these tissues which are called endometric tissues, these tissues they over a period of time they form some cyst in the outside border of the ovaries, and also in different part in the fallopian tubes and all. These cysts they look different from the other cysts, and the color of this cyst usually they are chocolate in color. So when you do a scan, this cyst can be easily differentiated from the other cyst, and therefore this name chocolate cyst has come. And when these things start developing, if you do not do some remedies, be it medical remedy or be it otherwise, then over a period of time, because these multiply very fast, so from person to person the speed of multiplication differs, but if there is no treatment is taken, then it can spread outside the uterus, whole uterus system that includes ovary and fallopian tubes, and it may go beyond it. So what happens is that because these tissues are these are additional to the normal tissues, so they block the tubes, they block the path, they block the cavities, and our normal tissues they get crump in and crunch in this particular situation, and it gives a lot of pain. So normally how the normal symptoms that can signify or that can point to endometriosis is that if during the periods there is severe pain in the abdomen, then there may be it may mean that there is chances that cyst may be developing or endometriosis tissues may be there. Then generally what happens is that if the bleeding during the menstrual period it becomes longer than the usual, then also it is one of the symptoms. Third is that during passing of stool or passing of even urine, if there is pain in the abdomen, then also then there will be constipation, there may be diarrhea. Person to person the symptoms can differ, but these are and the pain normally during the menstrual cycle, everybody feels little discomfort in the abdomen, that is normal. But when it is a pain that is due to endometriosis, this pain is a severe, intolerable pain, and you cannot do your daily work in that condition. So this is when it happens. Then you should examine whether it is endometriosis or not. Now there are in today's modern medical way, there are normally two types of cures for endometriosis. Let me at first tell you that endometriosis can be of 4 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. You can tell it's a mild, moderate, like that. So the severity of it increases from level 1 to level 4. So when it is between level 1 and level 2, there are generally by medication it is treated in Western medical ways, I mean, which we call as allopathy. So mainly there are some over-the-counter drugs are there, and there are injections. Mainly the drugs which are used to cure endometriosis in the initial stages, they are non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen, then naproxen. These drugs are used which are anti-inflammatory non-steroid drugs. However, when the severity increases, say level 2 to level 4, then depending upon other conditions, the doctors, they suggest different type of surgeries. And because modern medical science has advanced, so now from laparoscopic surgery to robotic surgery, different type of surgeries are there. And if it is in a very, very severe stage, then the uterus may also have to be surgically removed. Now, what the endometriosis leaves behind is that number one is that the pain is a very severe pain. Secondly is that in many cases the patient may suffer from infertility. Why infertility? Because endometriosis cells, they as I told, they get deposited on the ovaries, and when they get deposited on the ovaries, then and if you do the surgeries, then with each surgery the number of the eggs in the ovaries, they reduces, and each surgery causes a great harm to the ovaries. And depending upon how efficient or proficient the doctors are who are performing the surgeries, there is a great risk that the ovary will get damaged. And there are many cases in which after the surgery the patient they cannot get pregnant again, they become infertile. Or in many cases after the surgery, the doctors even if the patient may be very young, they advise them for IVF for conceiving. So that is also one problem. Then one of other symptom which by which you can at least think that whether you are having endometriosis or not. One symptom is that during intercourse there is pain, the lady feels pain. So that is also one of the symptoms of endometriosis. Now the allopathy or the Western or the modern medical science, as I told, that the over-the-counter drugs, medicines, injections, and in the severe cases surgeries are there, but they leave behind a lot of trails and footprints which may lead to infertility also. And secondly, the problem is that like cancer, it reappears. I mean, the surgically you can remove the tissues for once, but that is not the end. Those tissues will again come back because it is related to your menstrual cycle, and because in every menstrual cycle there will be some blood which will be, if you are having this problem, normally it does not happen with every woman, but for those women who are susceptible to the endometriosis, for them even after surgery, when the next cycle of menstrual cycle will come, some blood will again get clotted behind the ovary, and then the same cycle will repeat, the tissues will develop, then again after a few months endometriosis will be detected and you will have to get again medicated. And if you are late in consulting the doctor or doing the repeat checkup, then you may need a second surgery also. And mind it, with each surgery the ovary get more and more damaged, and if it is more than 2 or 3 surgeries, maybe you may end up removing the uterus itself, thereby closing the chances of getting endometrial cells again. So there is the allopathy or the modern medical science actually cannot completely cure endometriosis. It can remove it, and then for the whole life you will have to be in the loop with the doctor. Now the very interesting thing which I, as a medical astrology practitioner, I, by my own observation and by my own studies and research, I have seen that it is very easy to predict by looking at someone's horoscope whether that particular lady is having chances of developing endometriosis in her some point of time in her life or not. There are certain planetary combinations. Now these, what I am going to tell you, these are tried and tested, and these are not merely written somewhere and I'm speaking, nothing like that. It has been the product of intensive research and experimentation. And what I personally have seen, because a lot of cases I used to study, and when I see the planetary combinations in the horoscopes, there are certain planetary combinations which actually signify the possibility of having endometriosis in some point of time. Now let us understand, because endometriosis and menstrual cycle is very closely related. So let us first understand what are the planets that are responsible for menstrual cycle. The planet which is, you can say, the Karaka planet or the causal planet for menstrual cycle is Moon. Now Moon is the planet which is, again, because every planet in astrology signifies some body part. Now Moon is the significator for uterus, ovaries and fallopian tubes in women. Now these are the organs which are related to the periods or the menstrual cycle. Now if the Moon is bad in somebody's natal chart, then bad means what? If Moon is afflicted by Shani, Rahu, Ketu and the enemy planets of Moon, if Moon is sitting in a Nis Rashi, if Moon is sitting with its enemy, if Moon is sitting in enemy's nakshatra. So there are several conditions in which the Moon becomes very weak and it becomes negative. So a negative Moon starts giving negative results. Now negative result may include aberration in the whole menstrual process. Now that what I have told before, that in somebody's cases, all the blood does not come out during the menstrual cycle. The body does not clean up the blood completely. Instead, some blood get clotted behind the ovaries. So this is an aberration. So this aberration is the result of a badly positioned Moon or badly afflicted Moon. Secondly, Ketu is another planet which I have found is very, very important as far as endometriosis is concerned. Now a Ketu, especially in Lagna, in 6th house, in 8th house, Ketu, and even in 11th house, the Ketu, and also in 3rd house, Ketu can give you lot of problems. 5th house Ketu can also be very, very detrimental as far as endometriosis is concerned. Now when Ketu is bad and it is sitting in these particular houses, and also it is by degree wise also, and because of its combination UT, its conjugation with the other planets, if it is detrimental for your natal chart, then you may, if you are a lady, you may also have problems. And if Ketu is making some relation with Moon, and if Ketu is making some relation with Mangal, then also there is a problem that there will be diseases related to menstrual cycle, which also includes endometriosis. And because Ketu is the planet which we call it a Gupta planet, means it is a secretive planet. So any Gupta rog, there is a role played by Ketu. So a bad Ketu may also contribute to endometriosis. Thirdly, this is by some research, it is being seen that if some retrograde planet sit in your house number 5 or house number 7, then also there is a probability of that particular lady getting into the endometriosis problem. Now what is retrograde planet, I will not explain you, because that is another topic. So retrograde planet, which we in Hindi we call Bakri. Okay, there are two conditions of planet. When the planets move straightly, we call them Margi planets, and for some time every planet apart from Sun and Moon, every planet, they appear to have moved in opposite direction. So that particular position is called Bakri. So if a Bakri planet sit in your 5th and 7th house, 5th or 7th house, then there is a probability of endometriosis in ladies. Secondly, if the owner or the lord of your 5th and 7th house is a Bakri planet, then also those ladies have a more probability of developing endometriosis, provided other conditions necessary like Moon and Ketu's position, they also support this particular combination. Thirdly, if the Jupiter is retrograde and it is sitting in either 5th house or 7th house in a lady's chart, then also this Jupiter can contribute towards endometriosis. Now these are some of the major planetary combinations. There are at least 20 to 50 more conditions, which if I start describing, it will be a very long video. So I am just limiting myself to few points, giving you the main message which I want to give you is that it is possible to a large extent to predict endometriosis probability in a lady's chart if it is carefully observed for that particular reason. Generally, what happens when you give some astrologer your kundali, the astrologer normally he look at to the different problem related to your marriage, your job, your children, etc., etc., etc. Now, this particularly whether you will get endometriosis or not, this is something which needs a very, very careful and minute look into your chart and planetary combinations, which normally the astrologers they do not give importance, or it is not in their menu, so they skip it. However, a professional medical astrologer having expertise in medical astrology will probably look into the the planetary combinations, whether it is present or not, that may lead to endometriosis. So, if it is detected beforehand, and I will suggest that if you are a guardian of a girl, then it is very important for you that when your girl is small, a kid in teenage only, then only you should check whether there is a probability of endometriosis in her chart at the later part of her life, because endometriosis, although it may happen with a 20-year girl also, but generally the 60% of the cases between 30 to 40 years ladies. So, this is the prime time in which endometriosis and its symptoms they start developing, and therefore it is very important that if you check your horoscope beforehand, and then if you see the probability of endometriosis developing in your later years, then you can take some astrological predictors. There are a set of astrological predictors which we have developed in Krishna Jyotish specially for endometriosis. If it is detected, if the ladies who come to us specially for checking their chart for endometriosis probability, we check, and then if we find the probability, we give them a set of predictors for moon, for Ketu, and for other planetary combinations, which if they do with proper nistha and astha over a period of time, then that particular endometriosis, that the probability that get reduced, because endometriosis in our Jyotish, we believe that it is nothing but it is a bad combination of the planets, and if we can get rid of the effect of that bad combination by reducing the negative effect of the planets beforehand, then we can overcome or we can skip that particular disease. That will never happen. So, this video is getting longer. I don't want to, because this is a very, very long topic. So, I don't want to take much time, but I'll just summarize it in this way, that it is always good to get rid of the probability of the disease rather than waiting for the disease to happen and then to take the action to get rid of the disease. So, there these the Jyotish predictors are very simple. It does not cost much. But when you once get into endometriosis and you start doing all these surgeries, and then it is a very, very expensive affair. And then, as I have told, that this is a recurrent disease, it never gets cured. For some time it may get suppressed, then again the things will develop, again you will have to do. So, this vicious cycle will continue. So, see, what the medical medicines and the surgery can do is that temporarily they can manage. It's a managerial job, but every disease is owned by some planets. So, the planets are the owner, the Malik. So, if you can satisfy the owners, then there may not be any need to satisfy or deal with the managers. So, I will leave you with this message. If you have got any query, please feel free to contact me. If you want to contact me for some personal consultation, then you can contact me over phone or by WhatsApp. The number is 9717100241. You can also contact in our email address is krishnajyotishacademy@gmail.com. The number and email for contact is flashing on your screen now. So, you can contact us on any day except for Sunday between 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I will be very, very happy to help you. Thank you.